guys, welcome back to We Watched Movie. I am Mike, and I'm watching a bunch of Christmas horror movies right now because I'm excited about the Christmas season. It's weird, I haven't felt that way in a long time, but right now I'm just all up in Santa's satchel. I'm feeling really great about Christmas right now, and I like it. Never saw this movie before. It's available on AMC Plus if you have that. It's an anthology of different horror stories, but they all tie together in a really cool way, and they don't do it in a linear fashion. It's just kind of, you'll get a bit of this one, and then it'll fade into the next one, and then fade back into this one. So it's not like a VHS thing where you get 20 minutes of one and another. It all kind of blends into its own little movie, and that's pretty neat. The easiest thing to compare it to really would be Trick or Treat. If you love that, I think you'll really enjoy this too. There will be spoilers in this because it's been out for so long. So many of you have seen it before. I don't think it'll be that fun to talk about if we can't talk about some of the crazy crap that happens in it. So just a warning. The first story, let's talk about the ghost story that goes down in the basement of the school. This used to be a nunnery. That's not the right word for it, but something like a convent. It used to be a convent, and it's allegedly haunted, and these horrible crimes took place there years prior, and they go down there and a bunch of haunting crap happens to these teenagers. But it's really fucked up when the story ties together because the ghost was pregnant at the convent nunnery, and they took her and did an abortion on her, and they did it in such a back-ass way that they actually murdered her while doing it. They killed her trying to perform this abortion on her, and now she haunts the place, but she wants someone to have her baby for her. That's what she's asking for. That's what ghosts ask me for all the time, and I'm like, no, I'm married. Stop it, ghost. Stop trying to suck me off like Dan Aykroyd in Ghostbusters. I won't have it. I had no idea it'd be so much. I won't pay. But it's a crazy story because the ghost gets her to kill one dude by stabbing a crucifix in his eye hole, and then gets her to seduce her other buddy who's been in the friend zone for some time, and they have sex, and then it's so awkward, man. It's kind of like that scene in Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood.
I'm pregnant.
Already? I'm not ready to be no father right now.
She gets on top of him, has sex with him, and then the ghost leaves her. So she's like, what the fuck did you just do to me? And he's like, what did I do to you? You came on to me. It was like Keanu Reeves in Knock Knock. He's like, it was free pizza.
It was free pizza! Free fucking pizza!
Nobody says no to free pizza. It was kind of like that. The girl's pregnant, and now she has that ghost's baby inside of her. Now it's fucked up, right? So then the ghost kills the other kid, crucifix style, snaps his neck, and then just lets the girl walk out. And she just walks free because she's like, well, on one hand, I am pregnant at a very young age, and this is unfortunate, and I don't like it. On the other hand, I'm not going to get murdered by the ghost as long as I leave here and have her baby. So, win-lose, it's not the worst thing that could have happened. Only, it looks like you definitely murdered those two kids. So, pretty fucked up story. The next story, well, wait though. This whole thing is tied together in the coolest of ways. It's tied together by William Shatner, who's a radio DJ. Of all people, William fucking Shatner. I know. There's something on the wing. Something. And he's sitting there with this dude who's the weatherman for his show, and the guy looks all angry and, bah humbug, and he's talking about getting the producer under the mistletoe later. He's gonna sit back, have some eggnog and whiskey or whatever you put in eggnog. That shit's disgusting garbage water, but he's gonna have him a good night, and he puts you in the Christmas spirit too. And the whole thing looks Christmassy, just the way his little radio station just makes me feel like it's Christmas. It feels like a warm fucking sweater, and I love that about this movie, is it definitely gives you the Christmas vibage. But he's sitting next to this angry weatherman, and he's like, hey, how do you feel about Christmas? And the guy's like, he writes fuck Christmas on a thing, and puts it on a thing and storms out. He's like, well, I guess what crawled up his ass? More on that later, because it goes a really cool place with this. In another story, you've got Santa Claus is working in a shop, right? And he's got all the little elves, and at this point, I'm a little bit rolling my eyes, because I'm like, okay, how silly is this shit gonna get? But first off, the guy who plays Santa Claus is a big, Tyler Mane type of fucking dude, He's like a wrestler almost, which is really cool because he's also the voice of Beast in the X-Men animated series, which I did not know. So that's pretty neat. And this guy plays Santa Claus in so many Hallmark movies and stuff like that. So for him to be in an R-rated, really gross out at times and vulgar ass Christmas movies, pretty fucking cool. And the guy's a great Santa Claus. I really enjoyed him a lot. When they go to the North Pole, it's weird because this is a low budget thing, right? It was a direct, for the most part, a few theaters, but for the most part, it was a direct to VOD type of movie. So they don't have the budget to do crazy stuff, but they do it anyways. And it's weird because it's so glossy and it's so shiny looking, everything is, and everything's filmed so well that even though they have to use possibly kind of bad CG for certain stuff. Like, it really doesn't look that bad. They should do a study on how they made this movie, like knowing it was shitty CGI, but they just made it in such a way with the cinematography and the way that they shot it that it really didn't look that bad. It was kind of cool in a weird way. I liked it. I liked it a lot. A lot of franchises could learn a thing or two from watching this movie, for sure. Anyways, we're in the North Pole, and all of a sudden, the elves start going butt-fuck nut-crack. I had to write this down because the sentence is just unforgettable. His really hot wife, Santa's really hot mom, Mrs. Santa brings all the elves cookies while they're working out their shit and making their toys or whatever. And, you know, just like it's supposed to be, they're all like, yay, cookie time, fuck yeah. And this one elf's like, I'm not feeling good. And they're like, whoa, it's like an elf doesn't want a cookie? What the fuck is going on? And then he snaps. And he's like stabs his hand and he says, I said I don't want a goddamn cookie, you reindeer fucking snow whore. And then starts to try to murder people. And then it's like a virus. They all turn into zombies and they start trying to kill Santa. It's fucking crazy, man. And these little fuckers have nasty little mouths on them too. It's like Trump. It's like, you're a real nasty woman. And then eventually has to kill even Mrs. Santa Claus because she even catches the sickness. And more on the ending to this story later because it gets fucking nutcracked. But for a person who really doesn't get into the fantastical Santa Claus element that I think's been done to death, this is pretty fun. We go to another story, which is a family of three led by Adrian Holmes, who's an actor. Like, you've seen him in so many things. You see his face, you're like, I know that guy, and he's such a good actor. He's really good. And him and his wife and his kid are going to get a Christmas tree. And he's got the saw out. It's very Clark Griswold. They go up to a sign that says no trespassing. And he's like, don't worry about it. Let's go get our Christmas tree. And you're like, this is a fucking horror movie. We all know where this is going to go. So they go in there and it's really pretty creepy. Like, it's actually kind of scary. Their little kid gets lost. He's fucking adorable. He gets lost and they can't find him anywhere. And then when they do find him, he's kind of just like messed up and not right. He was like in a hole in a tree. Like, there was a big tree hole and that's where he was. But when he comes out, something's not right. And then when he goes home, the dad, who by the way was the one who was at the murders in the Covenant basement a couple years earlier, and he's currently on leave for emotional issues based on the trauma from that. So this, you see how it's tying together. It's pretty cool with the DJ telling all these stories as well. The kid's acting weird as shit and tearing stuff up and opening Christmas. It's really gross actually too, because he's watching his mom in the shower and he tries to touch her boobie while she's sleeping, and she doesn't know it and she's sleeping and she's like, oh, and it's like, what the fuck is going on? This is really, really weird, and I want you all to stop it. We should not do this in movies ever, 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 ever. It made me so uncomfortable. I hated it. Anyways, the kid is obviously possessed by a demon or something, so we think. He ends up killing the dad in a heinous way. We find his body with his hand missing and strangled by the Christmas tree lights. And she gets a phone call and a guy's like, hey, I know you stole that tree, but you're gonna need to bring that kid back because I know something happened in the woods and that ain't your kid. And it's pretty freaky. Like, it's a fucked up phone call to get because you're thinking it's just this crazy farmer who's pissed that you stole his tree. And then he's like, your son ain't right, is he? Something happened to him in the woods. And you're like, oh man, that just makes your stomach sink in like the craziest of ways. So, and then he tells, basically what happens is she brings him back. She has to hit him with a baseball bat a couple times, which is fucking weird. And then brings him back to the guy. And the guy explains to him that, yeah, these goddamn trolls try to escape. That's why the no trespassing sign's up. And I'm kind of the keeper of the trolls. And she has a gun. She ends up killing him and then begs the troll for her son's life. And the troll's like, thanks for freeing us. Let me go get your kid for you real quick. You know what? I got one in the back. It's like the Lady and Tommy Boy's like, you know what? Let me fire up the oven and cook those wings for you. You seem like you need it. So the troll goes and gets her kid, and that's that story. It's pretty neat, man. Like, honestly, scary. Losing your kid's scary in a very like Ransom Mel Gibson kind of way when they're searching for him. That was freaky. And then to get that Scream-esque phone call where it was pretty freaky as well. That was a really good short. I enjoyed it a lot. It would have made a really great Tales from the Crypt episode. It would have worked really anywhere. Then there's the story of this family with his dad, and it's a shitty little family too. Just the wife is shitty, the son is shitty, the daughter is shitty, and by the way, the daughter is sisters with the girl who went to the basement. Again, things tying together. And this guy's basically, you find out he's a con artist. He has this business that he keeps raising money for, but the business has been dead for a long time, and he's just raising money to keep his family afloat. because he's afraid if he doesn't, his money-grubbing wife will leave him, and he spends all of his time working on this, so she doesn't think that he loves her, and they're just a broken family, like, all the way through. The family doesn't know he's a scam artist yet, but he's going to his aunt Edna's, I can't remember her exact name, he's going to his aunt's house and bringing the family there to try to talk her into being the next investor in his company. Well, this little shitfuck breaks this Krampus statue, and then the guy who runs the place is like, "What'd you do, you little shit?" And you can tell that that guy's just got something wrong with him, and he's like, "You're gonna pay for that." And basically what happens is this shitfuck family unleashes Krampus with their evilness, and Krampus is badass looking. Like, he looks awesome. It looks kind of like one of the Prometheus guys at the beginning of the movie that drinks that weird caviar shit and melts into the forest trees, or the river forest. Shut up, bitch! Just like the guy at the beginning of Prometheus with the abs or whatever, like that color white, that like milky white, but he's also fucking jacked like Mark Wahlberg in Pain and Gain, and he's just got the big horns and everything. Just looks awesome. He looks awesome. I mean, it's really cool. Looks like a Mortal Kombat character, you know? Just really fucking cool. And he looks great, and he's huge, and he's hulking, and he kills the guy, he steals their kid. There's this whole thing where he picks off the family one by one. The teenage daughter ends up stopping him. A little too easily for my taste, honestly. Like, she just kind of puts down like a thing while running through him, and he runs into his throat and then burns him alive. But when she burns him alive, he turns into the caretaker that was mad at the kid for breaking the Krampus toy. She goes back and finds out that the old lady knew that it was going to happen and did that to protect herself from Krampus. And then the girl, because Krampus is just an evil thing that can fill anyone, like it's like the Christmas spirit can fill you with glee, or if you're dark inside, it can turn into a Krampus. It's kind of what they're going on with this. But anyways, the woman gets really mad, or the teenage girl gets really mad, and then she turns into Krampus and then, you know, kills her, obviously, and runs off. But this is cool because this is where Krampus ties into the Santa Claus thing. After Santa Claus has had to kill Mrs. Claus and all these zombies and stuff going on, he goes outside and realizes that Krampus has shown up. And he's like, "Krampus, it is time for our fight. You evil non-Christmas loving fuck." And they have a battle, and they have like a full-on fight, and you're like, this is batshit crazy. I love it. Honest to God, it was at this point that I realized the people who made this movie would make a really good Freddy vs. Jason movie. Like, honestly, just like the looks of it, the way that it's surreal, but you can also believe it's real. These people could make a great Freddy vs. Jason film. Anyways, they have this fight between the two of them. It goes on for a few minutes, and it's pretty interesting and entertaining to watch, because it's this big, giant, hulking Krampus fighting this big wrestler-sized Santa Claus. It's crazy. And, but what's even fucking crazier is, right as Santa's about to slay Krampus, Krampus starts begging in a human voice for his life. And you're like, what the fuck? And then it pans out. During this entire movie, William Shatner, while he's getting drunker and drunker and kind of more depressed and angry, is talking about a hostage situation at a local mall. And there's a hostage situation at this mall, and everyone's worried about it. He's been talking about it. And when the camera pans out, Santa Claus is the angry weatherman who was in the booth earlier in the film. And he's had a mental break from being overworked and stressed and whatever. He's had a mental break. And he's dressed as the mall Santa Claus, and he's gone through this entire mall. He's been the one keeping people hostage, murdering people. And the camera pans back to every time he thought he was murdering an elf or some shit, he was murdering, like, you know, one of the people who worked on the Santa Claus thing or whatever. And it's just fucking haunting to think about. You know what I mean? Because when you think about losing your mind and going crazy and like seeing stuff, like this guy thinks he's Santa and he's like a hero, and he's going through the mall just slaying innocent people because he's completely broke. It's fucking haunting, man. It's scary. It's freaky as fuck to think about. So the cops show up, and it's cool how they shoot this, because the cops show up, and Santa Claus sees the cops, and then also the dude sees the cops in the mall, so you see it from both angles, and they shoot him, and then the movie kind of ends or whatever. Just, man, the more I talk about it, the more and more I really appreciate it even more. This is a really, really fun movie. Again, there's some low budget spots. There's a couple parts in it that are like kind of a little corny. Maybe a couple editing issues where they're trying to weave in through the storylines or whatever. A couple times it loses your interest just a little bit, just little tiny things. But overall, man, I'd recommend this to anybody as a Christmas horror movie to watch, especially if you're a big fan of anthologies and stuff like that. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to give A Christmas Story a strong 7.5 out of 10. It's one of the better Christmas movies out there you can watch, in all honesty. So, what other Christmas movies should I watch? Obviously, we're going to do the Tubi thing. Check out that video at the end of this, especially if you enjoy this one, because I just thought it was a really good time. So, I'd like to keep doing them. So, check that out if you will. And what other Christmas horror movies should we review this year? I love your all's fucking faces. Thanks for taking the time to hang out. And don't forget to click that stupid fucking Beetle Dong surprise button. Snacks. Everyone likes snacks. I'll give you a snack, you fucking... What are you gonna do on October 31st?
What are you gonna do on October 31st?
Here comes that white-faced fucker, an asshole like no other. He's a big old piece of shit. Wants to stab your sister's tits cause he's a white-faced fucker. Loomis can't recover, Dr. Challenge drunk again, sleeping with your sister's friends.
Do you want to know about the darkness?
I said, God damn.
God damn you, faggot!
I said, God damn.
A lot of people don't know the darkness that goes inside their hearts.
I said, God